Hi there, Beeb.
Hey, Shelby.
Hi, everybody. And just as an explanation, this is not really Beeb. That's not her real name. Her real name is
Correct.
something else. But just in case, privacy becomes an issue for Bieber. That's
Oh,
what we're
please.
calling her.
Oh,
And
please.
I am Shell because what have I got to lose at this point? you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Uh,
Shelby's getting carried away here, aren't you?
A little bit, Beeb. Yeah, I think this started out as being more tonic than vodka, but now it's definitely more vodka than tonic, and you might pay the price, everybody. But it's
Yeah.
Dutch Barn, and that's our
Dutch
unofficial
Barn.
sponsor. They
Dutch
are making
Barn.
this possible. They're loosening my lips and giving me courage.
Well, so Shelby, can you like show us the bottle again? I know I've
Yeah,
asked you multiple times.
it's
So I
okay.
have this thing, and in my
Yeah.
head, right, because I love Heineken, right? And so those are
Okay.
the green bottles. And I
Yes.
find that when there are products, specifically alcohol, that are imported
Mm-hmm.
overseas,
Mm-hmm.
because of the way the light reflects through the bottles, I do feel as though it changes the chemical compound of these like beverages. Like Heineken, when it's imported, I think is still really great. uh,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe a hair off of what it would taste like overseas.
I see.
But
Uh-huh.
with that brown bottle, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that's pretty,
You think that's innovative? You think that's protecting the product, maybe?
yeah, I do, blocking
Could
out whatever
be.
UV lights and,
Yeah, yeah, it's very possible, Beeb. And
yeah.
I don't know that this is really available in the States widely yet. I ordered
Mm.
this from a distributor that imported it from England. So the
Oh,
price of
really?
the shipping was more expensive than the bottle itself.
Oh,
Um,
Jesus. How
yeah, I
much
do
was
know.
it? Can I
It
ask?
the vodka itself, I think, would be around $35, but with
Yeah.
shipping, it was like around 100.
Oh, you're crazy.
Well, I was supporting Ricky. This is Ricky's product, everybody, and I do know that he posted a picture recently of a shipping container full of Dutch Barn coming to the States. So I
Did
don't know
we
if it'll
figure
make it
out?
to Maine, but it might make
Yeah.
it to Massachusetts,
Perhaps I'll have to grab a bottle
right?
on my way up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to figure out
So
where it landed.
totally. Shelbs, what are we going to unpack today? I mean, this is episode 5. A little
Episode 5.
recap.
Yeah, episode 5 of what looks like it's going to be 6 episodes, everyone, in case you were
Okay.
wondering how long you're going to have to endure this.
We're going to drag you along with
Yeah,
us.
along with my exercise and foolishness. Well, I guess, Beeb, where we left off, Ricky was ill.
Okay.
That was in November, I guess.
Mhm.
And he had been diagnosed, he said, with acute respiratory distress syndrome, which when I Googled it looked horrifying and
Uh-huh.
potentially deadly, which I am sure
Okay.
is what he wanted me to find out. So I was very afraid for him. I already was afraid for him and for us and for this because it felt like if it was real, that it was such a miracle, and I just
Right.
felt like, like, would fate really allow something this good to actually happen, to follow through to the end? So I was so afraid it was just going to be snatched away by
Mhm.
something, including like some deadly illness. So there he was, sick. Dr. Dave
Well,
had
can I
recommended.
think
Yeah.
I think we before we get into whatever happened with him being sick, but
Yeah.
so acute respiratory distress
Distress
syndrome.
syndrome.
Can you describe that disease to me?
Well, he had previously, he'd been dealing with pneumonia, and I guess
Right.
this could become a complication of pneumonia where, like, your
Okay.
lungs really aren't functioning properly.
Okay.
And he described it as like being unable to breathe, like suddenly, and feeling like he was going to pass out, and then his pulse ox, if he was measuring the
Yeah.
oxygen in his blood, I think would have been sort of critically low at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
he
pretty
his
serious stuff.
pretty serious stuff, you know. It's all part of the package. You know,
And there
they
is
hit you at
Shelby
all the
ready to,
levels.
yeah, ready to just fly over and take care of him. And
Oh, totally. Yeah, you're right, Beeb. That's a good point because it kind of killed me to be long distance, you know, and
yeah,
not knowing if he had. I mean, I know he has a partner, but he wasn't mentioning her, and I was sort of envisioning like maybe they had some sort of like a platonic relationship where they're, you know, friends and stuff like that, but maybe he wasn't, you know, letting
sure.
her in on this. So I know I was kind of telling myself this because that's sort of what I wanted to hear, you know. Um,
Excuse me.
but anyway, yeah, I felt terrible not being able to help in any way, like, you know, other than financially. And maybe that's why I was more willing to help financially because that was all I could do, you know.
Sure. Or yeah, or you felt like you were making a real difference. Okay, so
Yeah,
I mean, other than like the gift card iTunes, I'm thinking
yeah,
about you had spoke last about dabbling in Bitcoin, which okay,
yeah.
I'm not a big crypto girl.
I
I
think that's
find that
good.
yeah, the crypto world, like you said, kind of supports the mark what is it? The dark
Dark
web.
web. Yeah, it does
Dark
seem like
web.
it's built for people who are doing bad things or doing things that they want to keep secret, at
Right.
least, you know,
Right.
because it's possible, I think, to stay pretty anonymous in that
Right.
world. And yeah, so these were, I think, what I would call my shrimp wallet days because I was dabbling in a
What
very
the hell
small
is
way.
the shrimp wallet? Like, did you
Yeah.
come up with the name on your own?
No, no, I don't know what I was doing. I was Googling something. I was trying to learn about Bitcoin because I felt like I was totally out of my element. I'm terrible at investing. I just can't like deal with the highs and lows of the stock market and shit like that. It's nerve
Yeah.
wracking and it just seems crazy to me that
Yeah.
people, you know, put their life savings in that. But when I was looking into this, I came upon the expression shrimp wallet, which is somebody who has like a less than like a very small share, a percentage of a share of Bitcoin invested. So that was
Right.
definitely me, definitely me.
Oh my
Even
God.
though it was like a significant amount of money to me, but in that world, small
Right.
potatoes, you know. So so yeah, I started to track the highs and lows of Bitcoin and I tried to sort of buy when it was low, sell when it was high, you know, so I could get him as much money as possible. And it was just like kind of consuming me for the month of December, like just fucking, you know, tracking Bitcoin was kind of the last thing I expected to be doing, you
Yeah,
know,
and
ever.
correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like, excuse me, the Bitcoin market in December was kind of all over the place. I mean, at least what I can grasp from my husband telling me. But I mean,
Yeah.
to speak about the stock market, we all know, I mean, today's March 11th, but the
Yeah.
stock market, it has shit the bed. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm. So
whatever was
yeah,
up is, yeah, it is no
is
longer up.
right, right, yeah. And I kind of feel like, you know, if there was ever a time to take my money out of the stock market, it wasn't a
Yeah,
bad time to do that. You know, the stock
right.
market wasn't doing great even then. You know, this is like December, you know, of last year.
Yeah,
But you know, of course, it still would have helped me to have some money
sure.
invested somewhere. You know, but anyway, so yeah, I was in installments. I was sending money to his doctor theoretically
Mm,
to cover his treatments, his oxygen therapy, and his meds, and the tests and everything that he
mm.
needed to help him get better. And one of the nice things, oh, there's my dog B behind me. One of the nice things was she's a good girl. Um,
Yes, she is.
she really is.
Um,
Adopt, don't shop. Um, what
Key.
was I?
Oops.
Yeah, yeah. I totally lost my train of thought there, and I think that could be the vodka.
Huh.
Um, but talking about December, investing in
Oh my
Bitcoin
God.
and all of that.
There's, yeah.
Did you
Fuck,
break a
I
tooth or something?
no, I had like dog hair in my mouth, and then I spilled cherry juice on this blanket,
Uh-oh.
which I should probably deal with. But I'm like, it was so nice today, and I'm by
Oh,
the fire, but
yeah.
I have a blanket on me, and then the dog's below me, and the couch is white, so I'm like,
Oh dear. Oh
real
dear.
risky business here.
I guess it is. Yeah, we're falling apart already. Like less than 10 minutes in, I just spilled my drink on my keyboard. But
Yeah, and wait, did we already say that this wasn't our first round of this episode?
no,
For
we didn't.
all you listeners, we were less drunk on take one.
Yeah, but
But
my audio is terrible, so we
yeah.
decided we should redo it. So I'm apologizing for us being a little more drunk in this episode.
Yeah. I mean,
And
no apology necessary, but
but if you're noticing that we're kind of on a whack,
yeah, I agree.
Dutch barn.
Dutch barn. I love
um,
it. I love it. Okay, so
yeah.
Bitcoin, you're
Covering
paying for
Ricky's.
him. Dr. Dave is asking to be paid for these oxygen therapies through
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Dr. Dave, as we established in previous episodes, is kind of I guess, a back alley doctor who could be discreet because Ricky did not want it to be made public that he was struggling, and
Yeah.
one of the nice things about December was because of the holiday and everything, his touring had quieted down a bit. He still had shows, but not as many, so that was a relief to me.
Right.
Um, although
What
I
was
was
his tour schedule like during this time?
well, usually it was 2 shows a week,
Mm-hmm.
and even that seemed like a lot to me. I don't know. I was such a nervous wreck, thinking about him like out there, like exposing himself to COVID and shit.
Yeah.
So I was glad that December was a quieter month, but I was already like nervous about January and things sort of starting up again. But one of
Right.
the nice things about the quieter schedule was it seemed like he was around more, and like we were
Yeah.
talking more, and it kind of made me feel like things were good. Things had sort of settled into a rhythm, even though there were still requests for money, even beyond the Bitcoin. Like there were iTunes requests. Oh, there's Vinny. He's a good boy. God, if you don't have dogs, they're good. They're good in situations where you're
Yeah.
flooded with despair. Nothing like some dogs.
I love
Um,
dogs.
Me too. But so I was feeling like we were in a good place. And like I said, he was asking for money above the Bitcoin. He asked for
Yeah.
iTunes cards at Christmas
Yeah.
time because he had promised them to some people and he couldn't find them. The store he went to was out of them, which I have experienced. Sometimes they are sold out, but I felt obligated to go track some down for him on Christmas Day. So there I was running around, and of course, as I said before, when I buy these things, the
Yeah.
cashier has to tell me that it could be a scam. Are you sure you know the person you're sending these to? And it's like,
Well,
oh, come on, it's Christmas time. Of course I do,
well, like if you think about iTunes cards, and at least from when I was in high school, I mean those were a
Yeah.
big thing. Like getting those, being able to download, the music was like
Yeah.
$1.09.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah,
before
that's
all of us, yeah, started subscribing to things. But
yeah.
again,
And I
maybe the UK is different still. I mean, maybe this is kind of. I mean, what? How you think that they're collecting iTunes cards and then like transferring it to cash?
Somehow, I think they must be able to because, yeah, it seems like it's very widespread. There's a town nearby where it seems like the grocery store doesn't even carry them anymore
Right.
because they're associated with scams and, however they turn them into currency, I think they must be able to. And not just iTunes cards, but their other like sort of gaming cards. So
Yeah.
I got to learn about that a little bit too.
Mm.
Steam cards, Razor Gold cards, those are also cards he asked for.
What? Wait. Razor cards in
Razor
gold.
Gold, yeah, that was the most recent one. I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
What?
You know?
Hold on, let me Google that. Razor
And they do
gold
sell them around here, so I was able to find
cards.
some.
That's
Yeah.
just like a cash card.
I guess so, yeah, they sort of make it look like it's for gaming and stuff like that, but yeah,
Oh
maybe they're
yeah,
all
yeah.
ultimately cash, I don't know.
Mm,
It's weird. It's a weird world where that
no
becomes
game.
a
Yeah.
currency, you know?
You could also use it to buy virtual currencies, apparel, and subscriptions.
Mhm. Yeah, he would say sometimes that, like, he was getting them for his, like, IT people or whoever for subscriptions and stuff, you know? It's like, whatever, you know?
You're actually killing me here, Shelby.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. It's
I know
okay.
this is a certain type of suicide for me, so, you know,
We're just gonna live
um,
and learn here.
live and learn, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But, we and you asked, before in other episodes, like, why was I still committed to this? Why did I still buy into this, you know? And he had some sort of knack for planting seeds or asking me questions that led me to believe that there was a future, like he asked me where I
Right.
would like to be in 2 years, and he kept talking about how it'd be great when we're finally living in the same area, which would be England. Nobody
And
wants
so,
to live
wait,
here anymore.
what was your response to where you would like to be in 2 years? I mean, I'm curious, let alone what you bullshitted to Ricky.
Well, I've never really felt like I had the luxury to even think beyond today. I always feel like with my situation here, I'm in crisis mode.
Right.
This house is a money pit. Things are constantly, failing. Systems are failing in
Mm-hmm.
this house.
Yep.
So it's just sort of a one day at a time existence here. So when he asked about 2 years from now, it's like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? But I thought like my priority would be to see him and spend time with him since we're both
Right.
old and, who knows how
You're
much time
not
we have.
old. It's
I'm
only a number.
61, but well, biologically, I'm also old.
You're
I
supposed to
mean,
be advocating for the opposite. You're supposed to be like, I'm still 30, you know?
well, sure, sure. Okay, B.
Sure.
You can
Thank
believe
you.
that, but
Thank you.
anyway, so I think I mentioned last time, that the dream would be to work in an onion ring factory because then I could cry all the time and nobody would think anything of it because everybody would be crying, right? And who would know if they were crying because of the onions or because of bad decisions they've made?
True.
So
True.
that was one thing I sort of presented as as a dream, and then he said, "Well, I don't think he understood how to take that."
Yeah.
He
He's
said,
like, what?
"Yeah, what's wrong with you?" But he said, "Well, didn't you mention that you had a bookstore at one point?" And I did in the past. I've had a bookstore. I've been a librarian, and so I've been in the world of books for a long, long time, and I love
Right.
books. And I said, "Yeah, I loved having my bookstore." And he said, "Well, what if we could set something like that up for you?" And it was like it was a very nice offer and a very nice thing to plant in my head, but
Yeah.
I started thinking, I don't know if I could run a bookstore at this point. It's harder than it looks. It's not, it sounds romantic, but it's harder than it looks and it's hard to make
Yeah.
money. So I felt
Yeah.
like I,
But if it like you paint that picture in your head, and I know because you work at the bookstore, you have like insiders, details, and whatever. But
yeah,
paint this picture. It's snowing on a Sunday morning in the UK, and you have to
yeah,
walk down cobblestone, and you have like this cute little bookstore on the corner, and you
mhm,
go in, bell that like rings every time you open the door.
yeah,
and it smells like a little bit like old ladies like underwear drawer with mothballs. Fuck.
I
Not
think
underwear
you
drawer.
lost everybody just now.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm
You
just
went
thinking
too
like
far.
mothballs. I'm thinking like a little mothball-y
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
better. But then you
Yeah.
like open a book and it's like poof, like,
Poof. You're transported. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
transported. Yeah.
That is the ideal scenario, except for the old lady's underwear drawer. I think
I know. I
that
don't know
might
why.
not be
I don't know why.
everybody's fantasy. Somebody, and maybe even this guy, maybe that is his fantasy. I don't
I
know.
don't know
I don't know.
why.
I'm
To be
not going to
fair.
judge that.
But
Um,
I feel like that's where you'd put your mothballs, like in your underwear drawer. Like, I don't know, the scent. Like,
that might be another podcast that we
yeah.
drill down into that. but, but for now,
For
I'm
now.
thinking,
Okay.
I thought, I don't know if I have what it takes to run a bookstore now, and I didn't want to waste his money. I felt like I wanted to be able to like talk to him first about all that's involved in a bookstore before I,
Yeah.
like said, yeah, I'm in. But I don't know why I was worried about wasting his money. I just
Yeah. All along, I don't know why you were even thinking that he
that
needed your money.
Yeah, I know. That's of course the big question. Why did I think he needed my money? And he sort of laid it out like because he was on tour, he was sort of beholden to the sponsors of the tour, and all of his money was managed and scrutinized. So
Mm.
anything like this might have raised an alarm. So I
Hmm.
I just decided that, yeah, sure. Sure, of
Sure.
course.
We're gonna roll. We're gonna rock with it and roll with it.
Yeah, it was definitely a gamble. Sorry, I'm taking toilet paper here, but for some reason, humiliation makes my nose run.
Interesting. Um. God. Okay. So.
So there we were, yeah, in
Yeah.
January, back on tour, still sending him money in various forms. He was getting better. Um, And that made me feel good, that he was getting
Mm-hmm.
better, and he expressed a lot of gratitude that I had helped get him through all of this, and
Right.
that felt good, you know,
Yeah.
uh, I guess, even
Yeah.
though
So the last trip never worked out. The
right.
video chat didn't work because it was glitchy, right?
Yeah, it was glitchy. There was video but no audio, so I kind of
Oh,
like allowed myself to believe that, oh yeah, there he is. Just because
yeah.
I couldn't hear him didn't mean it wasn't actually him. And I decided just not to keep pursuing that because it
Yeah.
was I don't know, it was sort of fraught, that whole idea of having a video chat. He acted like,
Totally.
I was doubting him every time I brought it up, and you know, I didn't want him to think
Push and
that.
pull, push and
Push and
pull.
pull. Yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, we had gotten through Christmas, and I was afraid
Uh-huh.
that I wouldn't hear from him at Christmas time because family obligations and everything. But
Right, right.
but he had been present and like in a good way. I think I told you before that I wrote him letters every night, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like when he replied to my letters, that was like that was what really kept me invested in this because
Right.
sometimes his replies would be so lovely and they were so like they addressed the points I made or the things I said in my letters in a way that made
Mm-hmm.
me feel like, this had to be somebody real, it had to be someone
Mm.
who actually cared and was listening to me. And I suppose that Chat GPT can be all those things too,
Well, I
you
was
know?
just thinking that, right? Like if you were just looking for a sounding board, and I mean, I know the way that
Mm.
technology is like moving.
Mhm.
It's not the same though. I mean, AI is only going to get us so far, but it does lose like the personal touch, right? Like the people
I would
touch.
think so. I would think
Yeah.
it would, but then if he did actually write these responds is then, he's somebody who knows how to write and knows how to express himself, and so that was encouraging to me, even though sometimes I thought, well, what if Ricky, the real Ricky, had some sort of intern like monitoring his Facebook posts and stuff like that, and maybe they went rogue, maybe they were like, you know what, let me have some fun with this Shelby. And they just like, sort of like invested this part of themselves just to see what would happen, just sort of for fun. And,
Right. Right.
I'm sure that wasn't the case, but
Oh, fuck.
was
Well,
one
okay.
scenario. But but what I was going to say, Beeb, also was that like we talked about Christmas presents and stuff, and he said like right around like after Christmas had passed that he asked for my address, and
Oh,
yeah, and I thought, well, it's after Christmas, but who knows? Maybe he's going to send me a present, and also he
yeah,
had
yeah,
mentioned
yeah,
that
of course.
he would get my daughter a guitar. So I thought maybe he's sending her the guitar. So he asked for my address. I gave him my address and I asked him, why do you need this?
Right.
And he said, just be patient, just give it 8 to 10 days and you'll find out, So,
Yeah, yeah.
so thus began the waiting, just to see like, what would this reveal about who this person is? Would he fulfill the promise of the guitar, or was it
Sure.
something else? Was it going to just be something that crushed me? you know,
Like some old lady's underpants.
that smelled of mothballs.
That's-
Who
oh,
knows?
girl.
But so I waited, and then like in the second week of January, I guess he sent a message and he said, can you go to your post office? And then he gave me like the tracking information that a package was waiting for me. So, I couldn't get there fast enough.
Mm,
So I went to the post office and there was like an envelope, with stuff in it. And it turned out it was this T-shirt that has a bunny on it, and I'll show you.
let's see.
It's a little, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to think of it, everybody, but there's the bunny. Can you see that, Beeb?
Ew. It's not even. Okay, first of all, why is it blue and why
It looks
is
a
it
little psycho,
a
doesn't it?
psycho bunny?
It's a psycho bunny, and the reason why there's a bunny, why that's significant, is because that was sort of my pet name for him. I would call him Bunny, and he called me
Yeah.
Pumpkin. Um,
Yeah.
and so, I thought, well, okay, I understand why there's a bunny, but it's like, what, what's happening here?
Well, so okay. I'm not, like I like art and thinking of like who Ricky Gervais is as a person. And then the
Mhm.
graphic on that shirt, 1000% the person that chose that graphic is under the age of 27.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think bing, bing, bing. Yeah, you got it, Beeb. And also, the
Right?
real Ricky Gervais is an artist, and I thought, I don't,
Oh,
I don't know that he would have chosen this design. So it was sort of like very mixed feelings, and my reaction was like kind of all over the place because it was like, okay, he went to the trouble of sending me something, but
right.
could have only cost like 20, $25. Who knows?
Right.
It's not a huge investment on his part. And I, of course, paid for this 100 times over, at least
Right.
so far. So it didn't really feel like a real present, but I don't know. It was a gesture, I guess. And I thought,
Well,
maybe
that's a
that.
fucking fail. I'm sorry. If some dude sent me a picture, no, wait, this is better. Sent me a present that showed up not in a box with wrapping paper or a bow. Again, I'm
Right.
married. I never get these presents, but in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I
And
opened
good
this.
for you.
Thank you. I opened this package and it's a
Yeah.
fucking ugly shirt with a
Mhm.
weird blue bunny on it.
Yeah. And it's got so much like vinyl that it's not really
I can
comfortable to
feel
wear,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, wouldn't want to sleep in it, although it fits perfectly. Um
Oh, perfect. Glad he knew your size.
yeah, and he's like, so will you wear that in Venice? And it's like, sure. Of course course I will.
Shelby, I will come and hunt you down and like push you in the fucking canal filled with poop in Venice if you wear that shirt.
Well, okay, Beeb, that's
I,
fair. And
you
and
cannot wear that in public.
no, I never would. Yeah, because then I'd have to like people would say, "Well, that's an interesting choice.
Right? Like,
What's the
who would
story
wear
behind
that?
that shirt?" Oh,
Yeah.
this is the symbol of my being very, very stupid. This is what stupid looks like. Everyone looks like a blue bunny. Yeah. And
Oh my
I
God.
am laughing now, but it's partly because I'm drunk and partly
True.
because that's how I cope with things.
Yeah, well, what other way, right?
Yeah, what other
Can't
way?
cry all the time.
Right.
Okay. So,
Unless you worked at an onion ring factory, then you can cry
okay.
all the time, which
Shelby, I
is
was trying to look up the
tempting.
closest location for you, and I cannot locate where the onion ring factory is based. So I'm
That's
trying.
funny. That's
I'm
funny.
trying.
You know, in Iraq,
Um,
I was in Iraq a couple of times, and
yeah.
they grow onions. There are onion farms in Iraq,
Uh-huh.
and we were visiting one, and one of the soldiers I was with tried to trade me to the onion farmer for a donkey.
No, he did not. Wait, I fucking love that. What would you have done? Pulled the wagon?
Maybe that. See, imagine if that trade had happened, that would have spared me this. You
I
know?
mean, personally, I love donkeys. I think they're
Yeah,
very
donkeys
useful
are cute.
creatures.
Yeah,
Yep,
I don't
super
know if.
smart.
Yeah, so maybe that's why the guy said no. You know, she's not worth a donkey.
I mean, fair
But
play to that man. That's
yeah,
pretty cool. I mean, you're
yeah.
that's for a whole other podcast. Your time in Iraq, I'm sure it
Mm.
was.
Well, it's funny, like that time in Iraq, even like we went on midnight raids and stuff like that, and that was not nearly as scary as this experience.
Oh my God, because it was not
Seriously.
emotional, right?
It wasn't emotional. Yeah, I was like, I kind of felt safe. Honestly, I really, truly did feel safe around soldiers, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
But in this situation, I think that's why it was so scary, partly because somewhere in me I knew that I was gambling big time, and I knew
Yeah.
that the odds were definitely stacked against me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
live and learn, I guess, Beeb.
Live and learn. Yeah, live and learn. So, okay, we're in January. The trip to Venice would
Mhm.
be May. It would be beautiful. You'd be out in the canals eating like non-GMO vegan food,
I know.
whatever.
I even
You're
looked up
vegans.
vegan restaurants. Yeah.
Ah, stop.
I did because I wondered if that would be that easy to find vegan, but there are. There it sounds like there's some
Is
really
there?
good ones over there, and that was, if there were any positives to come out of this, one was that I had been a vegetarian for like 45 years, but hadn't made the push to be a vegan
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know if I could really commit, But then
Right.
Ricky Gervais, the real Ricky, was able to become vegan for the same reasons that I always wanted to, because he loves animals, and you kind of
Right.
feel like if you're not vegan, then, you're not really true to who you say you are. So I was able to switch to becoming vegan because partly I just eat peanut butter sandwiches most of the time. So it wasn't
Yeah,
really that hard. And, in retrospect, I could have done it years ago. Um,
it's
but,
true.
and I also lost a bunch of weight, that I had gained
Yeah.
from working remotely. So I'm in much better shape. I feel better physically in a way, except
Well,
that I
wait,
can't.
so hold on. Because I know you and because
Mhm.
when we do our staff meetings sometimes, you will
Mhm.
bring cake.
Will bring cakes. I
Are
became
you
known as the person who would bring the cakes. Yeah.
correct? So are you trying to tell me that these cakes you've been bringing me have been vegan cakes?
No, that was prior to this whole
Oh, okay, good,
experience.
good, good.
So
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
those had plenty of butter, I'm afraid. Yeah,
Hell
I
yeah.
apologize to all the cows out there.
I know. I
Um,
do watch videos of, but in okay, so mass production of dairy products is bad. They do things
mhm.
to like
Yeah.
maximize.
Yeah,
Results, blah blah blah.
they separate the mom from her babies, so she'll keep
Yeah.
producing milk. So, and then a lot of times they just kill the calves.
Well, they don't they just do veal?
Yeah, it's killing. They have to be
Yes, correct.
dead to become
Cor-
veal.
correct. So you got
Yeah,
your veal, and then you got the
yeah,
milk, and all those gross. I
yeah,
honestly, I can't say I could be vegan because I do like cheese in one way or another. I do try to buy like organic and like ethically farmed products, right? So
yeah,
expensive, but I try. Um,
yeah.
but I told you when I went over to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
we went over to a dairy farm and it's really upset me. And again, I don't like milk. I do like milk
Yeah,
products like
right. I
cheese,
know.
but I don't
I miss
like
that
milk.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I walked into this farm and they have all the calves who were IVF calves, right? They're not naturally,
Mm-hmm.
they're just, made and produced and then put there for veal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then these poor cows who are not only super fearful of people, which,
Mm-hmm.
I understand horses working with big animals, that's fine. They're just a little bit feral. But
Mm-hmm.
they're living on concrete slabs
Yeah.
and getting shuffled from one side of the barn to the other side of the barn that's covered. Their
Mm-hmm.
faces and their bodies don't actually see the sunlight for however many goddamn days they live there in that environment. And it was disturbing. It made me very upset.
It's
Um,
awful. It's terrible that we think that that's okay for us to do.
Yeah, and with all the farmland there in Germany in the area that we were in, I mean, okay, sure, there was certain fields that were filled with cows, dairy cows, meat cows, what have you. But then the
Mhm.
specific milking production sites, I mean,
Yeah.
I was blown away. Really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know. I know.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard to reconcile that. And
Yeah, yeah, reconcile
yeah.
that. Stick
Mhm.
that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. So I do feel better. Sorry, the sun's hitting me in a weird way.
No, it looks nice. You're very glowy.
This is this is the glow of despair.
Get out of here.
Oh.
Um, all right. So
So
obviously we
yeah.
have red flags. The Venice trip. I mean, I don't know, Shelb. So you've been talking to him for 6 months. You've sent him more
Mhm.
money than I even want to know. You
Yeah.
obviously gotten some dick pics. I mean, have
Yeah,
we gotten to the
some
point? Well, number one, for any of my parents or whomever listening, just close your ears. Were these good dick pics?
Well, Beeb, I think I mentioned that I had studied them quite carefully in the past,
Interesting.
the early ones, and that I
Okay.
could pick this dick out of a lineup if
Mm.
necessary. Um, so,
So from photo to photo, was the
mhm.
dick the same dick? What? It's true.
Did you ever expect you would ask that question in your lifetime? Maybe you did. Maybe that's what life is like these days. The first, like, let's see, he sent like three initially, and those all seemed like the same person. And then there were another three that seemed, I think, like the same person. The setting seemed like the same.
So like gingery, but like not like pube y, but not.
A lush pubic area.
Disgusting. Disgusting. What does he fucking live in the wilderness?
Well, you think men should groom their pubic area? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I mean kind
Really?
of, unless
Oh,
unless you're like in some like monotonous boring fucking relationship. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think grooming is necessary
I don't think
personally.
I don't think it's necessary, but I do think that if you're gonna send a picture, you should take some pride in what you're sending. You know, I'm
This is an
not
interesting
wrong.
debate. I guess your point is well taken, but
Thank you.
for me, these pictures were quite nice. I thought, and
Sure.
although they were cropped, obviously the head was not showing because that
Of
would be risky,
course.
right? That would
Of
be risky.
course.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But the body type to me seemed like it could be him. It's because he has a lovely round bottom, like an
Mm.
apple, which is what Dutch barn vodka is made from. So that seemed, apt. And
Okay, okay.
yeah, so I was in full support of whoever this was, initially.
Yeah.
These two sets of three pictures all seemed like the same person. I was trying to sort of study the amount of body hair to
Mhm.
see if it was really him, and it was hard to say because I watched all of his shows and I studied them, like in Afterlife there are shower scenes, and I was like, why couldn't he stay in the shower longer and pan down so I could really see if this is the same person? But the real Ricky wasn't going to help me there, so I had to sort of take a leap of faith that this was the real guy. And that brings us like into February, where my least favorite holiday, Valentine's Day, was coming, and I thought, even though I
Oh,
don't like,
you're such a my least favorite holiday.
well, it
You
always was, because there
it's
was never anything to celebrate, and it seems
it's a
like it's designed.
Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, yeah, it's designed to make people feel miserable, I think, and
No,
mission accomplished,
Shelby.
Hallmark.
No, stop. It's
No.
designed to adhere to whoever wants to have its adherence. I mean, I did I get flowers on Valentine's Day? No, I didn't. You know what? Shout out to my husband. Fuck you for that. But he
Did
did
he send
follow
you
up.
dick pics, though? And would that have been better than flowers?
You
To
know,
me, yes, because a dick kind of stays alive, whereas flowers die.
they do die, don't they?
They do. They do,
They
babe.
do. They do.
Uh,
Wait, that's really funny. I like that. Anyways, mine is so fuck Valentine's Day between you
yeah,
and I.
okay. I still, I
Whatever.
still hate it. Of course, now I hate it probably more than ever. But I did send
Yeah.
some quite naughty pictures to this Ricky on
Mm.
Valentine's Day. Seemed
Mhm.
like a good excuse to send some pictures, and
Mhm.
I sort of our pattern had been like, if I sent pictures, he would answer back with pictures, or if he sent pictures, I felt obligated to send pictures. So it was equal. I
Sure.
always felt like I owed him pictures if he sent me pictures.
Mhm.
Because it was brave. It seems brave to send pictures. That's one of the things that made me feel like that it was kind of a safe place, because we were both, throwing ourselves into that.
Yeah.
Pixels, a lot of pixels.
A pixel for a pixel.
That's right, babe.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh
So
god.
I guess that's where we should leave off, with my sending my Valentine's Day pictures, and then wondering if
Yeah.
he'll respond in kind, right?
Yeah. I mean, this like either. So I don't know. In like this dream world, when
Yeah.
this thinking about it, Venice is amazing. His
Mm-hmm.
offerings of a bookstore on cobblestone in England are amazing. I mean, there's just so many positives here, and yet there are so many possible negatives
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Definitely
Um,
still a roll of the dice, which
yeah,
way this is gonna
absolutely.
go. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, Shelby, you kind of strike me as a person that likes to gamble a little bit. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
I guess you're right. I mean, actually, in real life, like money wise, no. But
Right, right.
emotionally, for some reason, I'm happy to like throw it all on the table.
Yeah, yeah. A real wild card, aren't you?
I guess. Very reckless with my heart, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. Well,
But
you
I
got to
kind of
be.
feel it's all in, or what's the point?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you either got to go big or go home. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's rough,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
rough.
Right. Yep.
Um, oh, look, my order is on the way.
Okay. All
Um,
right. That's
so
good. So, should we cut it,
interesting.
end it here,
Yeah,
babe? And then
we should.
we've one more episode, everybody. So just so you know,
Yeah,
this is going to be 6 total, and one more is about all I can handle, I think, and probably you too, Beeb.
sure. Sure.
Sure.
I think we'll have to find something else to talk
To
about
talk
after
about.
this. 'Cause, I do enjoy our conversations.
Me too. Hopefully people out there are getting something out of this. If not,
Yeah.
it may not change your life. Hopefully, hopefully it
Well,
won't.
hopefully,
But
yeah, it
but
makes you aware of your situation, right?
yeah, hopefully if you feel like something like this is happening to you, I hate to be the person to wake somebody up to this feeling. I this is not a feeling I wish upon anybody, but if you're on the fence about what's happening to you and it sounds a little bit like this, then be
Jump
very
ship.
careful.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, jump ship
Yeah.
or try to figure out a way to really prove what's going on.
Yeah. But I can't wait for next episode because that is the real zinger to this
That
whole thing.
that's where it
So,
all sort of unfolds. Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
Bea. Well,
All
thank you
right,
for being my
Chubbs.
partner here.
Partner in crime.
Yep, that's right, Bea.
All right.
Okay,
See you next
bye
time.
everybody.